You're listening to the Relationships Uncomplicated podcast. Relationship advice so valuable, you won't believe it's free. And now your host, relationship expert, Idit Chironi.
Welcome back to another episode of Relationships Uncomplicated podcast, episode 72. I'm your host, Idit Chironi, and today I talk about what makes a therapist a relationship expert. And how can you make sure that you're hiring the most qualified relationship expert to help you save your marriage? This episode is to inspire you not only to have the knowledge to identify experts, but also to have hope that your relationship can improve. And I say that because I believe that. And because I witness that on a daily basis inside my practice. But before we dive into this episode topic, I'd like to present this episode sponsor. This episode is sponsored by my infidelity recovery and healing program, It's Okay to Stay. If you're struggling in the aftermath of infidelity, but want to stay together, you can rebuild trust and heal through genuine expert help from me and my team personally. I started It's Okay to Stay after seeing couples therapy and self-help options often lacked essential components to help couples save their relationship after infidelity. It's Okay to Stay is a complete 8-week coaching program that involves an online roadmap course and one-on-one work with an affair recovery specialist. So if you have faith in your relationship and you want to stay together and heal, let's talk. I'm offering a 45-minute free consultation for couples who want to save their relationship and need expert help. If that's you, just go online to iditchironi.com/45 and pick a time for a video call that both you and your partner can commit to. I'll hop on. We're first going to start with understanding your struggle, and then we're going to walk through It's Okay to Stay to see if the program is right for you. Look, so many couples try therapy and self-help methods only to be put at odds with each other. But that doesn't have to be you. With expert help, It's Okay to Stay will give you the clarity that you need to understand each other, to heal, and to find a path forward past infidelity. So again, all you have to do to book your free consultation is to go to iditchironi.com/45. That's iditchironi.com/45. I'll be honored to stand alongside with you on this journey. Okay, now let's get into our topic for today. What makes a therapist a relationship expert? I think we can all agree that not all therapists are relationship experts, and that there are those who identify as relationship experts who are not therapists. So I feel it is important to be clear about who can adequately help you. So if your relationship is not doing well and you start looking for couples therapy in your area or online, you're most likely going to go with either a recommendation that a friend made, a family member made, that you read somewhere or heard somewhere, or you're going to go down a list provided either by Google or your insurance company, and start calling people, right? In the last few years, I see more and more therapists offering couples therapy as part of their services. Now, this is wonderful. I think it's a wonderful thing because marriage counseling done right proves more and more to save couples' relationships and help maintain long-lasting changes. However, what you may not always know is that the same therapist that offers to see you for marriage counseling can and is absolutely authorized to also see clients with different presenting problems without really specializing in any of these. Now, this is what I mean. So when you get licensed as a therapist, Our licenses allow us to work with all mental health disorders or issues, anywhere from depression and some things that are even heavier than that, to siblings rivalry, to relationship issues. And unfortunately, this kind of leaves a void for those of us who really believe that they can do it all. Lately, since couples therapy has been in high demand due to COVID and issues of couples kind of feeling stuck at home, losing jobs, or just having kids all the time around them, and other issues that have happened due to this pandemic, some therapists now decided to just add it as another option as part of their practice, and sometimes they'll do it to fill up their caseloads. And sometimes without even having the proper training or experience. And so what ends up happening is that, yes, they are licensed therapists. Yes, they know a little bit maybe about how to do couples therapy, but that's not even always the case. And so they just add it as part of their service suite. The thing is that relationship issues require an expert as much as heart problems require a cardiologist. Let me say that again. Relationship issues require an expert as much as heart problems require a cardiologist. And what do I mean by that? General therapy is most likely not going to help, but it can cause damage. It already has, in my opinion. How many of you heard somewhere that therapy doesn't do anything? How many of you have been to couples therapy to find out you're stuck in weekly venting sessions where you complain about each other, the therapist is sitting there kind of trying to be a referee, and then time is up and you leave the session with a bleeding emotional wound, having no tools to resolve it, only to come back the following week and have the same thing happen again? How many of you have been in that situation where you sit in the couples therapy office and you get asked about how was your week, and then you start, bombarding the therapist and each other with all kinds of things that happened, and you feel at the end of the session not only hurting more, but so not equipped to handle the situation yourself. I'm certain many of you would raise their hands right now if you were in front of me. I'm certain of it because that's what I hear. I would say 95% of all couples that have been to couples therapy before they come to see us will tell me that that was the case, this or something else. And so with all of that, I do want to say that there are amongst us, some wonderful, amazing relationship experts, and they are out there and they help save relationships. And I just want you to know how to look for them. So let's see, what are some important things or important aspects to look for that make a therapist a relationship expert? Now, I should say that what makes a therapist a relationship expert is not one thing that I'm going to say here. Rather, it's the combination of the following concepts that I'm going to present to you. If this person has all the components, then that's perfect, but they might not have all of it, and some of it is also good. Okay, so let's begin with the first one. So number one, in my opinion, is the type of therapy education. Therapists have academic formal education in the field of mental health. Therapists who are licensed marriage and family therapists, for example, have the most education and training around couples work. They are trained to look at relationships and handle a couple or a family in the therapy room, which is very different from individual therapy. So let me explain a little bit about what I mean here. When you look at a therapist, usually there are going to be a few letters after their name. For example, with me, it's Edith Charoni, LMFT, licensed marriage and family therapist. So those letters after our names will represent the type of education we got or the type of license that we have. It doesn't really make a difference in terms of what we can treat, but it does make a difference, or it makes I guess there is a difference in the training that we got in the understanding or conceptualization of therapy for us. And so marriage and family therapists are specifically trained to look at relationships versus other professions who are more trained in looking at the individual in different ways, right? And that it's not good or bad. It's just that when you want the person to treat your relationship, you want to make sure that you work with someone that understands how to look at a relationship and how to work with the couple inside the session. The easiest way for me to explain this to you is maybe to differentiate between individual therapy and couples therapy. Individual therapy is basically an opportunity for yourself to get insight about yourself. So when you do individual therapy, hoping to improve your relationship, what you are doing is you're stepping into yourself, trying to understand why you behave a certain way, get some insight about maybe, learned behaviors, defense mechanisms, and so on and so forth. But it's very much concentrated on your experience. And your therapist is there to guide you through this and hopefully help you make some changes. But the insight is completely about you, yourself, your own psyche. In couples therapy, the client is the relationship. And so even if you come by yourself, by the way, to couples therapy, you are not necessarily going to only get insight about yourself, but you are going to get insight and probably much more than that about the relationship and why one thing leads to another. So the relationship between you and the other person is what we look at, not you and the other person. Now let's talk about the second component of what makes a therapist a relationship expert. And the second component is post-grad training. What do I mean by that? It's basically what the training that a therapist gets after they finish their degree and they are in the field working, but still specializing and getting more education or continued education and certifications. Education and certifications specifically in relationship therapy are essential for therapists who work with couples. This is how therapists formally specialize in a specific field. Credential trainings, by the way, will include learning, practicing, and supervision to ensure that the therapist knows how to practice this approach. Now, why is this important to you? It's not easy to find out whether a therapist has the proper certifications or education post their graduation. But it's definitely something you can ask about or you can inquire, right? Look at their website and try to find out about this. Why is it important? Because like I said, when we get our degree, we basically are sent to the world with a license to treat all issues. And if we already established that you want to make sure that you work with someone that specializes in your issue in the couples therapy field, now it's even more specialized than that because you want to make sure that the person also has something beyond just their formal education, and something that actually gives them some kind of an experience, a method that they work in. And so they are able to give that to you. When we look at the research of basically what makes therapy work, then there's definitely a lot of components. So one component would be your connection with your therapist, which, by the way, is probably the number one most important thing for the therapy to work. But there's also the method. So it has been proven that if the therapist has some kind of a method that they're working with, the therapy is more likely to succeed. And so, for example, throughout the years, I've been through so many trainings. Some of them were excellent, some of them were less, but for me, at least, I know that I have something guiding me. I have a backbone that is guiding me as I do the therapy. It started with just leaning on those trainings, and throughout the years, this backbone became more and more mine. But still, I make sure that I have a backbone, that I am able to help you, not just going and flowing, with whatever is happening, but also going back to understand to certain beliefs and certain tools that I know are going to help you. So this would be the second point I wanted to bring up. Let's go on to the third component. So the third component of a relationship expert, in my opinion, is the experience in the field. And I would even add just the experience, period. So experience in the field and then life experience. And I'll talk about it in a second, but let me start with the experience in the field. The more experienced the therapist, the better. The more experience with couples, the better. A newly licensed therapist has about 2,000 hours of experience in the field of therapy. You heard me right? It sounds crazy, but it takes a minimum of 2 years of constant work in the field to even get licensed for us, right? So you see the amount of experience you need to get before you get licensed. A therapist who is a relationship expert will not only have this generalized experience, but they will have thousands upon thousands of frontal hours specifically with couples over the years. For example, our experts have 10 plus years of experience with thousands of hours of couples therapy experience under their belt. So when you go looking for a relationship expert, you also want to make sure that their experience has been not only with, the years of practice, but also with couples specifically. Now, let me also say something about experience or life experience. I'm not one of those therapists that necessarily believes that a therapist has to have experience or it makes them a better therapist if they have experienced something similar to their client. However, I do think that with relationships, and maybe with other things that I can't think about right now, but with relationships, I do think that if the therapist has experience with their own relationship, they could probably be more equipped to understand what happens when you are in a long-term relationship, and or what it means to be a parent in a relationship, and what it means to experience the ups and downs of a relationship, what it means to experience different things that happen to us as just people, losing parents, or tending to parents, or being part of a family situation, or having a newborn, or having children. All of those things, I think, are very, very important experience that a relationship expert can have. This is one of those things that I would say is not a must, because I do have colleagues that are not in long-term relationships and are excellent therapists. So I don't know if this is a must, but I would say this is a plus. Okay, now let's go on to the fourth component of what makes a therapist a relationship expert. So the fourth one is the approach. A relationship expert will have an approach she or he will share with couples about how they see relationship change. Having an approach with which a relationship expert conceptualizes cases as opposed to going with the flow is essential, in my opinion. For example, a relationship expert will be able to explain to you what they understand about your case. They will be able to identify patterns and offer a clear path of treatment. A general therapist, on the other hand, is most likely going to resort to understanding situations as you go in sessions. And then because they don't necessarily know how to handle or identify relationship or relational patterns, you're going to feel like you are doing the same session over and over again. At least this is what I am getting from the couples that come to us after they've already been to unsuccessful couples therapy. And so when you look for a relationship expert, the only time you'll be able to see if they have an approach, it's probably, unfortunately, only after the first session, or maybe even the second session. So this would be our fourth one. And now let's go to the fifth component. So the fifth component of a relationship expert, in my opinion, is structure and tools. Now, structure and tools became, I think, my second name, or at least my practice's second name, because we believe that what makes couples therapy useful is the presence of structure and tools and the ability to give you those. Fortunately, a lot of research has been done in the field, and a few methods of therapy have come up with tools for assessment and for creating change are, in existence. And so some of those, by the way, we utilize in our Florida-based practice, and we specifically use the Gottman Institute. But in any case, I don't believe it is enough to know the tools or the methods, because every therapist can take a course and become, a Gottman therapist, or, learn about their tools. And many do so, by the way, because we're required to have a few hours of continued education in order to keep our license. And so sometimes we will take, courses, or we will take some education or certification, not necessarily something that we are going to use. So I don't think that just having that training is going to, or having these tools in your toolbox is necessarily going to help the couple. I think it is highly important that your therapist has a structure or some kind of a roadmap they can guide you through that has a beginning and an end. How comforting is it to know that when you come with a problem and you say, I don't know what to do. I mean, it feels like a complete chaos. We cannot communicate. We cannot talk about things. We have drifted apart so much that we just, because we fight so much, we are so careful with what we say, and I feel so disconnected. How comforting would it be if a therapist can tell you, I know how to help you. You can learn how to handle the conflict. I have tools that I can teach you and practice with you. And then once you can do that, we can go dive deeper into what is driving these behaviors. What are the core needs that are not being met? And I have a roadmap, and I actually can take you on this roadmap to get to whatever goals you want to get. I think that's very comforting. If it's true, of course, you can't just say it to a couple and have no clue how to do that. But I think it's comforting. So yes, I think it's highly important that your therapist has a structure or a roadmap that they can guide you through that has a beginning and an end. And that roadmap can offer assessments and practices that your therapist can teach you and practice with you, and that you can implement with them in a session. I think this is a difference between what I call venting sessions and structured sessions. What makes a therapist a relationship expert is the ability to not only offer you a safe space to vent, which, by the way, is really important and is part of the practice, right? But that's not enough, because you also need to learn and experience change. Okay? Learn and experience change. It is not enough to talk about what bothers you and about your partner and for them to say what bothers you about them. It is not enough to tell your therapist about your last fight or what you hate about your partner, because that would be the venting part, right? But you also want to learn how to talk about those things, not with a therapist, but with your partner. And how to do that, you need to learn tools, and you need to actually implement them in the sessions in order to experience change. And once that magic happens, everything can happen. So in my practice, when we train a new therapist and we kind of bring them into our family, this is what we talk about with our therapists. You cannot be the therapist that only offers an ear. You have to be a more involved therapist, a more involved figure in this couple's life, because you are going to help them bring change, and we want this change to last. So it's not enough to just throw it at them and say, hey, read this book. It's really great. It talks about blah, blah, blah. Or here's, try this at home. That's not what you can do. When you really want to help a couple make a lasting change, you're going to have to do all of those things that I mentioned before. And that's, that makes a huge difference, because our relationship experts are all trained in allowing some venting while offering tools to discuss and resolve the issues within the session. It's very rare for us to end a session with open emotional wounds. I always strive, and my therapist as well, to make sure that there is closure, that when a couple leaves a session, they have a sense of, we know how to handle this. We know how to handle something similar in the future, or at least, the very least, we feel heard and understood. Okay. The last piece of the components is number 6, which would be success rate. So you may or may not know, but therapists are bound by many laws. Our profession is regulated by laws, and that is really, really good because the laws do mostly protect the person in therapy. And because there is sometimes so much power that is given or that is in the hands of the therapist, we need to learn to be very careful with that power. And so a good thing is that there are laws that protect this relationship between us, right? And it will also protect the type of work that we do, the quality of work that we do, and so on and so forth. The thing is that this prevents us from making promises or advertising success rates. And so I can't tell you how many clients, when they call, they want to know, what is your success rate? I wish I could tell you, but the law prohibits me from disclosing this. Although we do check those things. So part of our practice is to do evaluation or progress evaluations with couples. So we have a pretty good knowledge about what happens to our clients and how much they feel they've reached their goals or very close to reaching their goals, haven't reached their goals, and so on and so forth. So our inability to provide you with success rate and numbers doesn't necessarily prevent us from being able to assess ourselves and our work. Relationship experts will have a track record of success with couples. They will have enough experience and self-evaluation tools to share an approximate level of success. Your expert may say, I've worked with hundreds of couples in the aftermath of infidelity in the past 10 years, and I've been able to help most of them heal and regain trust. So you see how that is different than saying, I have 95% success rate. What we also do in our practice is provide an estimate of the number of hours it may take to reach the couple's goals. Now, by the way, maybe this is a good place to say that. This became a national standard. So now when you go to see a therapist, they are required by law to give you a good faith estimate. So if you don't get it, you can ask for it. And basically, this has been our practice for years. We will tell our couples, according to whatever they present, how long we estimate that it's going to take them to reach their goals. So I don't want you to think that therapy is this endless thing, that you're going to have to be in therapy for months and months or for years. I want to give you the ballpark of, understanding that there's a beginning and an end to therapy. And after therapy, you should be able to have the tools to handle things on your own. I don't want you to need me. At least that's my philosophy. Okay. So how do you learn all of this about a therapist? No worries. I will tell you all about how to do that after this message. This episode is sponsored by my infidelity recovery and healing program, It's Okay to Stay. If you're struggling in the aftermath of infidelity, but want to stay together, you can rebuild trust and heal through genuine expert help from me and my team personally. I started It's Okay to Stay after seeing couples therapy and self-help options often lacked essential components to help couples save their relationship after infidelity. It's Okay to Stay is a complete 8-week coaching program that involves an online roadmap course and one-on-one work with an affair recovery specialist. So if you have faith in your relationship and you want to stay together and heal, let's talk. I'm offering a 45-minute free consultation for couples who want to save their relationship and need expert help. If that's you, just go online to edithcheroni.com/45 and pick a time for a video call that both you and your partner can commit to. I'll hop on. We're first going to start with understanding your struggle, and then we're going to walk through It's Okay to Stay to see if the program is right for you. Look, so many couples try therapy and self-help methods only to be put at odds with each other. But that doesn't have to be you. With expert help, It's Okay to Stay will give you the clarity that you need to understand each other, to heal, and to find a path forward past infidelity. So again, all you have to do to book your free consultation is to go to edithcheroni.com/45. That's edithcheroni.com/45. I'll be honored to stand alongside with you on this journey. Okay, we're back. Let's now talk about how to learn all of the above information about a potential therapist. So, in other words, how do you actually find out that a therapist has all of these or some of these 6 components that I mentioned? Let me really quickly go over them. Number 1, the therapy or the type of therapy education. Number 2, post-grad training. Number 3, experience in the field. Number 4, approach. Number 5, structure and tools. And number 6, success rate. Okay, so a few steps I think you can take in order to find out this information. I suggest looking at your therapist's website. This is usually or has become the number one place to look for information about a specific therapist. So once you have a list or you have some suggestions or recommendations, go inside their website and look for certain things. So what I want you to look inside the therapist website is to see if what they say that they specialize in. For us, if you look at my website, it is very clear that we specialize in helping couples improve their relationship. We also specialize in helping couples in the aftermath of infidelity. So we have these 2 specialties that we carry, right? It's very clear. You are not going to see us go down a list of we specialize in depression and anxiety and schizophrenia and parenting and couples therapy, and we see this and this and this and that. So if you stumble upon a website that really shows that the person specializes in one thing, or sometimes it's going to be a group therapy that's very, that specializes in various situations, then you can look specifically into one therapist that will specialize in that thing that you need. You should also look at the specialty pages inside that website. And so when you start looking at either our specialties or service pages, these are the web pages where you will get a lot of information about what this therapist or group specialize in and how they do their work. Look inside those. So when you look at the website, what is the vibe that you're getting? Is this a general therapist that kind of does it all, like a primary care doctor would do? Or is it a specialized clinic or practice that has a specific topic or or deals with a specific issue that they really, really know a lot about, like a cardiologist practice or, neurologist or, so I would definitely look into that. When it comes to websites, sometimes therapists are not that great with websites, but I think we're getting really, really better with that. And so I think that you can carefully look at websites, and I would go, into as many pages as you can to get the most information you can about this practice or therapist. Then I also suggest as a second step to call or schedule a consultation with that therapist. You schedule consultation to find out more. And basically, you're scheduling this consultation, hopefully, to see if your therapist, if this person is really the right, perfect professional to help you. Sometimes therapists will do their own consultations, and sometimes they will have someone else doing these consultations, but this would be your time to ask a lot of questions, right? To see what's going on. I would speak to at least 3 different therapists to find out your relationship expert. And make sure you pick the best professional to help your relationship, just like you would pick the best surgeon to operate on you or your family member. I honestly see it with the same importance. The last thing I would suggest is making an appointment. So actually going for it. Don't just try to call many people, look at many websites, get tired and say, okay, whatever, I can't, I don't know what to do. Pick the 3. And then from that 3, pick one and make your first appointment. This is your chance to meet with this person and actually look at all of these components. Ask all about, see if this person has a plan. See if this person has an ability to conceptualize your case and tell you this is what's happening. This is what we're going to do. Here is, give you hope that you can do something about it. Or if they're just kind of sitting there and hoping that you'll figure it out on your own while they are nodding their head, So yeah, sometimes consultations are not enough to really, really understand if this is for you. So make an appointment, go do the session, and then make your decision. And don't be discouraged by, oh no, we started with this therapist. They don't know what they're talking about, or it's not being helpful, which means now therapy is not helpful. No. Take some time, continue your search, and make other appointments. So this would be my suggestion. And, it's just normal to, it may take more than one session sometimes, by the way. If you have a relationship expert therapist, you should feel that she or he helps you facilitate change. This is what you need to remember, that they're helping you facilitate change, that they are giving you tools, and that they are leaving you feeling better and more hopeful than when you came in. This would be my ultimate suggestion. Okay, so I hope this helped inspire you to be more mindful about the quality of the service that you deserve. And I really hope it will help many of you feel more equipped to find the right person to help them navigate their relationship. Okay, time to say goodbye. Please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you can get alerts when each episode is out. And I would love it and really, really, really appreciate it if you can rate the show on iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts so we can get as many couples getting this valuable information as possible. Have an amazing rest of your day or